Yo, yo, what's the dealio? We live, and I wanted to go live and talk about what I'm looking at this week, my watch list for the week. So we got some good stuff, man, because we got Trump, right? And so basically these whole tariffs. And so this is an interesting situation right here because he announced the tariffs a while ago, but he did not. It didn't go in effect yet, but now it's going in effect, and it went in effect on Saturday. So here's the thing, right? This is what Wall Street does. They they make announcements over the weekend, and then people start to get out of their positions, right? So if you was in a call on Friday, let's say you got into a call on Friday, now like an option call, or if you bought some stocks, you're going to be down tomorrow, right? Because the tariffs is bringing the market, is about to bring the market down tomorrow, right? So you got to know what to do and how to handle this. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at the charts, and I'm going to share my top setups of this week. All right. And when I say these stocks is going to explode, I mean they're going to explode to the up or to the downside. And also, when I say these stocks is going to explode, I mean if you get into some calls or some puts and you on the right side of the trade, you can make a lot of money. All right, I'm talking about depending on how much you invest, you can make some solid bread. All right, so what we gonna do is we got to understand what's going on right here, right? Like I say, Trump, he announced tariffs, right, a month ago. And now tariffs went in effect yesterday. Can't nobody do nothing in the stock market on Sunday because it's closed. So people about to be down bad on Saturday. The people that are in their long-term positions and stuff like that. But that's okay, right? So with my first play of this week, I'm gonna show y'all Microsoft. All right. But before I do that, I want to show you guys the earnings for the week as well, right? So we're gonna look at the earnings calendar because this is important. So let's look at the earnings calendar real quick. So we got earnings calendar for February. All right. So what we got? That's on Monday, February 2025. All right. Perfect. All right. So I'm gonna share my screen real quick with y'all. All right. So we're going to go to the earnings calendar first and foremost, right? So we got Palantir after close on Monday. This is going to be really big right here, all right? Palantir. Then on Tuesday we got PayPal, we got Spotify. Spotify it has been on an uptrend, so you want to look at them. If they drop, that might be a good swing to get into. On Tuesday we got AMD after close, we got Google, and then we got Snapchat, all right? And we got Chipotle, we got Uber on Wednesday in the morning before open. Then we got ARM, which is it's another chip company. They probably gonna be down. We got Qualcomm, QCOM, we got Amazon after close on Thursday. We got Hershey on Thursday morning as well. Then Pinterest after hours on Thursday as well. All right. So that's what we got. Now, my setups, I feel really good about these setups this week, right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to the charts and I'm gonna show y'all one by one and we're gonna talk about it. So my first setup for the week is gonna be right here. All right. Here's my first setup. My first setup is gonna be Microsoft. Now let me show you guys the daily chart. All right. So on the daily time frame, let's go to the daily. Here we go. All right. So I got this charted out, right? So I want you guys to look at the daily time frame. This is the daily right here. All right. So here's what's going on. Microsoft has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bounces. All right. So let's look at this. This is the daily time frame. So it came down here to 385, and it bounced off, and then it ended up going to 425, right? Then it came down here to 399, and then it ended up bouncing up to 440. Then it came down here again to 406, and it bounced up to 436. Came down here again to 406 again, it bounced up to 428. Came down here again at 409, bounced up all the way to 454. Then it came down here again to 412, and then it bounced up to 447. All right. And right now we're sitting at this same exact level. All right. The same exact level. So what I think is going to happen is, depending on where we at tomorrow, we might go down here, right? We might test it and touch it. But I think that we're going to see a bounce off of here or a bounce off of here. And then we're going to reclaim this level right here, which is 434. We're going to reclaim all of these levels, and we're going to try to retest this high right here. And that's at 455, right? So, but if we drop below this 405 right here level, this 405.24, if we drop below there, then we going to 384, right? We're going to go to 384. We might see a little bit of resistance at that 400, but if we drop below that 400, we go into 384. All right. But if we only test, if you see a wick right here tomorrow and it only comes down here, but if the day don't finish down here and it finishes up here, then we going back up. And that's when I will enter into a swing. All right. That's going to be my swing entry right there. All right. Sunday sauce. Yeah, you know it. Yeah, we bringing the sauce today. So that's my first setup, okay? It's going to be Microsoft. Microsoft is what I'm looking at to enter into a swing. I may day trade it as well, but I will be entering into a swing. I'll be getting I'll probably be getting about like the 390 calls on Microsoft. I'll enter in those. My expiration date is going to be like the end of March, and I will enter into those, and then I'll ride it back up, right? I'll ride it back up from this level right here, 413 or 407, and I'll ride that joint back up all the way back to 444. If we break that, then I'll go back higher. In my chat, in the Discord, I have I called it out in the watch list tab. The profit targets are 428, 438, 441, 447, 456, and 466. Right, 466 is the all-time high. Right, so if we could get in at this level right here, this is a buying zone right here. Okay, this is a buying zone right here, because you see Microsoft has came down here and it bounced, but it's also came down here and bounced. So what that tells me is it's a little range. So between 405 and 413, as long as it doesn't go down here and close, then we gonna buy right here, somewhere between here, and we gonna ride it all the way up. All right, so that's how we gonna do that. That's gonna be the first play. Okay, he said I'm already in a Microsoft swing, bought it at 415. Okay, so if you see it go down tomorrow to like 404, then I would probably add to it to bring your cost down. I don't know what your average cost is, but I would probably add to it. But yeah, I'm waiting. And see, the reason why I didn't get in the other day is here's why. Let me show you. The reason why I didn't get in the other day is because number one, they just missed earnings, right? So I wanted to see how low they were going to end up going. That's the first reason. So they dropped from 442 all the way down to they opened the next day at 418, right? But this day there was buying pressure and there was selling pressure, okay? But this next day there was only selling pressure, there wasn't buying pressure, which means that it could be another red day. It could come around here to this buying zone right here, right? Maybe this like 411 area, and then we could bounce off. So that's why I didn't get in yet. I wanted to see it established some type of bottom before I entered in, and I got into my confirmation. All right. So now the next day, if we have a day where we see a big wick right here, maybe it comes down here and we have a big wick and then it may close right here or something like that. That's a perfect time to get in them calls. As long as the stock does not close below 400, 405, we are in the mix. All right. So tomorrow is going to be a red day, at least for the first half of the day. We're going to see a lot of red. I already know. Because Trump, he announced the tariffs and then they went into effect yesterday, which is on Saturday, right? So you got to understand that the way Wall Street plays is they will give you announcements on the weekend when you're in these positions, and then you open up your account on Monday and everything is red. And then you start freaking out and then you get out, and then 4 days later, a week later, it recovers crazy and then it goes up, right? So that's how they play these games with you. So you got to understand the game and you got to know how to read these charts. All right. So that's my first play is Microsoft. We're going to ride Microsoft all the way back up to where it just came from. All right. Because they did beat earnings. They beat earnings. They didn't miss earnings. Microsoft is a behemoth, one of the biggest companies ever, right? So you got to understand that it's going to recover. So the next play, my next play that I'm looking at is going to be AVGO, and it's going to be to the downside or the upside. I don't want to be biased, but I think I know what's going to happen here. Okay, so let's look at the daily on this. So AVGO, it was how do I say it? It was reversing, right? So we see that. So last week, when everything happened about DeepSeek, AVGO dropped because it's like a chip company too, right? It's in the same sector as NVIDIA and AMD and all of that, right? So we saw it drop from 238 all the way down to 202 is where it closed at, and then it tested at the 196 level, right? So check this out. Now, I caught this like a month ago, but it broke out from this level right here, right? It broke out from 180 and then it went crazy and it went to 213. So when it came down here, it had started filling a gap, right? Filled a gap, but it filled the gap halfway. So it got another $17 to fill this gap right here, right? And so because this is in the same sector as NVIDIA and, AVGO is about 30% of their revenue is coming from China, then I know that them tariffs is going to hit hard tomorrow, right? Hard. So we going to see a gap down on AVGO. So they was reversing, but with this news that just came out over the weekend, man, we about to go back down, right? So we going to open up. Now, if you see AVGO close under 196, man, we going down. We going down to 180 because that's the next level, and that's that gap that has to fill right there, right? So I would get in on a day trade on the downside to this right here, and then once it settles in, maybe on Tuesday, we see what the next day looks like. I would get back into some calls and ride it back to the upside because we know where it's going. It's going right here at 249, and its all-time high is 251. Right? So understand what's being said right now. Right? These stocks are gonna explode either to the upside or to the downside. Right? So that's my AVGO play. I think it's going to go down. I think it's going to fill that gap. And I think it's going down. It might touch 180 tomorrow. I'm not saying it's going to stay there. I'm not saying it's a recession. But what I am saying is I think we're going to see that gap fill and we're going to be able to make some money to the downside. All right. What do you invest in the covered call ETFs? Not yet. Honestly, I don't do covered calls. I strictly just day trade and swing trade. I buy calls and puts, and I sell them, and that's how I make my money in the stock market. But I have not got into covered calls or debit spreads or anything like that yet. And so we got Microsoft and we got AVGO. Those are two plays right there. And I got one more for you guys. We looking at Google. Okay. Now let's watch this. Let me show you. We got Google. Let's look at Google. Right? GOOGL. Now, if we look at the daily time frame, let's look at what's going on. right? It's a bull flag and it's a bull pennant, and it has already broke out of this level right here, right? And they got earnings on Thursday. No. They got earnings on Tuesday after market. Right? After market close, they got earnings. So what I think might happen and will happen is we gonna see Google might pop off, right? We might see some, a red start to the day, but Google is above this level right here. It's surpassed and closed above all-time highs. Its all-time high was 201. So now it touched 205 and it closed at 203.79, which is above those all-time highs. So this week, I think that Google with a good earnings could catapult it to that 220 level. Right? It could catapult it to that 220 level. Now, am I saying go get in a call on Monday in Google? No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is if a stock has earnings on after hours, the next day you wake up and they have good earnings, you may get some continuation momentum to the upside, or they might sell off and then go up, right? It just depends. Last week we had Meta and we had Netflix, right? Netflix went up $100 and something after hours for their earnings, and immediately the next day they dropped down. They was at like $1,020 or something, right? And they dropped down to like $960 because everybody took profits because that was a crazy move. But they're sustaining where they're at right now, so they're about to be back to the upside. With Meta, they went up from like 670 and they went all the way up to 707, right? They went up like $20, $25 overnight, and then they went up to like 707. They got rejected off that level, and then it smacked down, right? So if we see a good earnings with Google overnight, we may see them run up after the next day, and then maybe in the middle of the day, there might be a sell-off, and all it is profit taking, and then we could ride it to the downside for a couple dollars and then make our money that way too, right? So you got to understand that these stocks every day are going to explode for you, but you just got to be on the right side of the trade, whether it's to the upside or whether it's to the downside. It don't matter which direction it is. And then let me give you this too. When a stock is down, right, however many percent. So let's look at this chart real quick. This is how you get the money. When a stock is down, let's look at Microsoft. When a stock is down by $30, $40, that's a discount, right? That's a discount. If you just buy shares, right? If you just buy shares, let's just say, if you just go spend $2,000 on let's say 5 shares of Microsoft, and it gets back to, and it goes from 414 to 446, you're gonna make 6 to 8% return on your money just off of that. But that don't include options, right? Look at this, Palantir. It had this is one of my favorite stocks. It dropped all the way from, it came from the all-time high of $84. It came all the way down to 63. If you would have dropped $1,000 in this stock right here from 63 and rode it all the way up to right here, you would have made 10, 15% on your money in equities and shares. That don't even include options, right? That don't even include options. So you got to understand that, like, when you see these stocks that are solid companies, when you see stocks that are great companies, when you see stocks that are inside of the S&P 500, right? And they're down 5%, 8%, 7%, they're not going to be down long. As long as we're in a solid market, right? Economy, it's going to recover because the stock market is biased and the stock market is meant to go up. That's what you got to understand. The stock market is biased and it's controlled to go up. So when you see a stock and it's down 8%, 5%, then you need to be thinking, okay, it's time for me to load up on a stock. A week later, a month later, it's going to recover and it's going to go higher than where it just came from. And then I cash out, right? So with options, that's how we doing it, right? That's how we doing it. With options, we see that Microsoft is just dropped by $40. Now we gonna see where it bottoms out at, and then we gonna get in and we gonna ride it up. If we get 2 contracts and we get in at $410 and we ride Microsoft up to $430, we gonna double, triple our money. That's how it goes, right? So those are 3 setups this week that I'm looking at. I'm gonna give y'all one bonus one too for being here. And if you guys are not, be sure to join the Discord and join the Prosperity Collective, because we're gonna be day trading in there and everything like that. All right, the link is in the description. All right, so I'm gonna give y'all one extra one right there. Let me give y'all an extra one. So we got a watch list, and so every week I'm dropping all my analysis in this thing right here, and then on a daily too. We calling day trades and everything like that. So yeah. So now let's look at another one, which is gonna be Apple. All right. So boom. So look, Apple just had a reversal, right? So it came down to this 200 EMA, and then it had a reversal and it went to the upside, right? Okay. So with that, but they just had some bad news come out with China, so they're going to be down tomorrow as well, because their sales have been down in China, so they may hit 220. They may come all the way back down to the 200 EMA at 222, right? We don't know yet, but if they don't go below this and they bounce off, then that's a great place to get in a call too, and then they're gonna go right back to where they came from. It may take them a couple weeks to a month, but they're gonna get right back up to it. But let's look at it. They was at 222, and then how long did it take for them to go back to 238? 1, 2, 3, 4 days. It took them 4 days to get back to 240. So if you get in some option contracts right here at 223 and you get a $17 move on Apple, you could make some real solid money. All right, you can make some real solid money. So you got to understand that this is how we do it, and this is how we get in our bag on a consistent basis in the stock market. All right, so day trading, swing trading, we're gonna be signaling all of that in the Discord. So be sure to join that. Those are my 3 plays for this week. Swings, and you could day trade those as well when you see the momentum. So yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow morning, day trading. And if you're not in, I'm gonna see y'all on tomorrow's video. I'm gonna holla at y'all. Peace.